I think we officially have a leading candidate for best Red Sox series of 2023 so far. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin. The Boston Red Sox have officially swept the Atlanta Braves, the best team in baseball, taking both games out of their quick 2-game series to put themselves at 55-47 on the year, 8 games above 500, still in 4th place. But more importantly, they are officially now just a game and a half back of a wild card spot and a game and a half back of being in 3rd place in this division. I think the best part about this series is that you were getting contributions from the Boston Red Sox on either side of the ball, right? Both sides of the ball were big factors into both of these Red Sox wins. And to top it all off, after the game yesterday, the Red Sox also made a minor trade as well. So what we're going to do in today's video is we are going to break down the latest Red Sox series, talk about the latest Red Sox highlights, talk about some of the concerns that were in this series, because even though they swept, there are some things we need to talk about. And we're going to talk about the trade as well. Plus, how does all of this affect the 2023 Red Sox season, right? How does the series affect the season? How does the way the Red Sox played affect the season? And how does this minor, tiny little trade affect the 2023 Red Sox season? But before we get into that, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. Okay, so let's quickly talk about the trade here. Last night after the game, the Boston Red Sox traded for right-handed bullpen arm Mauricio Llovera from the San Francisco Giants, which is interesting because we're just about to play the San Francisco Giants. But either way, Llovera was DFA'd earlier this week. He had about 5 innings of work at the major league level, boasting a pretty low 1.69 ERA over those 5 1/3 innings, but he has a much higher FIP at 4.97. The FIP is probably because the walk rate's at 3.4 per 9, but his K rate isn't shabby either at 8.4 per 9. He's a 2-pitch pitcher with a slider and a sinker. He uses his slider most of the time and mixes in that sinker as sort of his put-out pitch. In exchange for Llovera, the Red Sox gave up Marquez Johnson, a single-A affiliate pitcher. At the time, he was drafted in the 11th round of the 2022 draft, so nothing really huge given up here. Mauricio's probably not a guy who's going to make a major impact on the Boston Red Sox, but what the Red Sox are doing right now is they're increasing the depth of possible bullpen arms that could be effective, right? Guys like Bernardino came out of nowhere. Schreiber came out of nowhere, right? Bullpen arms are really, really volatile, so the higher floor that you have for your bullpen, the better spot you're going to be in, and I think that's the Red Sox plan going into the 2023 deadline, or at least that's what it looks like so far. So again, not a huge trade, but just something to keep your eye on as we move towards the MLB deadline. Okay, now let's get into probably the most important part of this video, and that is talking about what the Red Sox were able to do against the Atlanta Braves. So let's start by breaking down the offense. I think in terms of trying to find a series MVP, it's a little bit difficult. One, because it's only 2 games, right? And 2, because everyone was really contributing at a high level in this series. But we're going to have to give it to Justin Turner, at least offensively in this one, because JT in the first game of this series went 1 for 3, scoring 2 runs and walking twice. Then he had the dagger in the second game with a 2 RBI double off the wall and going 2 for 4 in total. Turner is one of the most clutch players in baseball right now. He moved into 7th in the American League in RBI total for 2023, and it really almost feels like it's a guarantee that when someone's on 2nd or 3rd and there's less than 2 outs, Justin Turner's bringing those guys in, right? Whether it's an RBI sacrifice fly or a ground out to second base, or if it's something like this where he absolutely ropes a double off the monster, Justin Turner's gonna find a way to get that run in, and so far this year, he's done exactly that. Rafael Devers also remains red hot. He had a pretty good series as well. He went 2 for 5 in the first game with an RBI single. Then in the second game, he hit the most ridiculous home run I think I have seen this year. I mean, this was just a flat-out golf swing from Rafi that he somehow hit 104 miles an hour. I think sometimes we forget just how much of a freak athlete Rafael Devers is, and then he does stuff like this, and you are reminded immediately that Rafael Devers is a 1 in a million type player. It was a really, really impressive swing in this series. Overall, though, Rafi is really hot in the month of July. So far this month, he's hit 379 with a 438 on base percentage and a 727 slug, good for a 210 OPS plus. Absolutely disgusting. And speaking of disgusting and speaking of blazing hot, Triston Casas continued his dominance in this series. He had another home run to dead center field off of Spencer Strider in this series. He ended with 2 hits in the second game, both of them off Strider, who's one of the better pitchers in Major League Baseball. He had that mammoth home run like we talked about, and he had a hit and an RBI walk in the first game as well. What I'm loving the most about Casas' blazing hot July is just how impressive each at-bat feels, right? It's not that he's going up there and just smashing the first pitch he sees, which would also be impressive. No, he's working counts. He's being methodical with what pitch he attacks, and when he does attack a pitch, it feels like every single time it is hit super hard, right? You're not seeing a ton of weak hits from Triston Casas, and it's been really impressive to watch. So for me, we kind of already knew that power was in there. It's the fact that he's being so methodical with where he's attacking pitches that I find really impressive. Connor Wong also had another sneaky good series. This is now a couple of series in a row where we're mentioning Connor Wong. He has been quietly one of the best parts of this Red Sox team lately. In this series, he went 3 for 7, but he went 2 for 3 off of Spencer Strider, again one of the better pitchers in baseball in the second game, and he also gunned down a player trying to steal second in the 9th inning of the second game. That really kind of saved the game, right? It felt like Kenley was falling off a little bit, and then Connor Wong absolutely guns down that guy at second base, and all of a sudden there's 2 outs and Kenley Jansen gets the last guy to swing and miss. And so without Connor Wong, this may be a little bit of a different video, but either way, he has been absolutely one of the more underrated parts of the Boston Red Sox in the month of July. What he has been doing behind the plate as well as at the plate has helped the Red Sox win immensely, and I think it's about time people start recognizing, hey, Connor Wong's a really solid Major League player. Adam Duvall had an oppo taco in this one, hitting one into the bullpen. He also had a hit in both games, and his average may be down from what we were seeing at the beginning of the year, but he's still being productive in generating runs for the Boston Red Sox. Over his last 15 games, 8 of them, he has had an RBI in. That was a pretty good rate of getting RBIs across the plate, right? That is exactly what we've been looking for from Adam Duvall. Be productive. You don't have to be an on-base machine. You don't have to be an average machine, but if you can hit home runs, if you can drive people in when you are needed to do both, you're going to help this team out a lot, and that's what we've seen from Adam Duvall lately. So despite the fact that he's not getting a hit every single time he goes up there, which I don't think anyone really ever expected anyways, he's still being a very productive member of this lineup. And overall, in terms of this series as a whole for the offense, what we saw in this series is exactly what we knew this Red Sox team could be, right? We've talked about it before, but when this Red Sox team is firing on all cylinders, they don't need home runs to beat you, right? They're going to hit home runs because they have power hitters in this lineup, but they don't need them to beat you. They're going to come at you and beat you in every possible way, right? They're going to take a walk. They're going to hit a 102-mile-an-hour single back up the middle. They're going to go gap to gap on you, and they're going to score 3 runs, and then someone's going to hit a solo or a 2-run shot, right? That's where this Red Sox team is at their best, and that's what we saw in this series. I mean, Charlie Morton only went 4 innings, and Charlie Morton has a below 4 ERA on the season and has been very good against the Boston Red Sox in the past. This is his first ever loss, right? This is what this Red Sox offense is supposed to look like, where they are just going to torment pitchers, and that's exactly what they did in this series. As for the pitching in this series, once again, we got an opener for the first game, but on the bright side, it was John Schreiber. He made his triumphant return. It was kind of like, hey, John, welcome back, buddy. It's good to see you. Hey, by the way, you're going to start your first game in Major League Baseball. Oh, and you're facing the best offense in baseball, right? So it didn't go as best as I assume John Schreiber would have liked it to go, but it wasn't terrible either. 1 run. Christian Arroyo had one of the weirdest double plays I've ever seen in my life, but either way, John Schreiber gave up a run. But then Nick Pivetta came in, and he once again was really great out of the bullpen. He went 5 innings, allowing just 3 hits, not a single earned run, and striking out 5 batters batters while walking just one. This is a complete 180 from his last time out against the Braves, and Nick Pivetta has become one of the better starters on this team. He just can't pitch the first inning, right? He's been pitching every time he's come out of the bullpen, aside from that one game against the Mets here in the last series, right? He's gone 4, 5, 6 innings. He's legitimately a starter that just doesn't pitch the first inning, and I think that's absolutely hilarious, and it's also working really, really well right now. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? As for the second game in this series, we saw Brayan Bello go toe-to-toe with Spencer Strider, and his final stat line looked like 6 innings, 3 earned, 4 hits, and with 2 walks and 4 Ks. But I don't think the stat line in this one tells the whole story, because for 5 innings, really 5 2/3 innings, Brayan Bello was going toe-to-toe with Spencer Strider, and he was actually beating him, right? He had 1 less hit than Strider. He had 1 more strikeout than Strider for a while there. Then he made 1 mistake pitch to Ozzie Albies, and you can't make mistake pitches to the Braves, because the Braves aren't going to let those mistake pitches go, and that's exactly what happened. But I think overall, what we saw from Brayan Bello was much better than what his stat line shows. Oh, and that cutter that he's been working on looked absolutely disgusting, so I'm not at all upset with what Brayan Bello was able to give you in his start. As for the bullpen in this series, it may have been the best part of this series for the Red Sox, right? Outside of John Schreiber, who let up a run, there was not a single run given up by the Boston Red Sox bullpen in these 2 games. Again, this is the best offense in baseball we're talking about, with a bullpen that, hey, there have been some guys this year that really know how to give up runs. They were able to shut down the best offense in baseball. In fact, in those 2 games, outside of John Schreiber, who I kind of considering a starter here, and Nick Pivetta, who again, kind of considering a starter here, they only allowed 6 total hits between 2 games, right? That's like 4 or 5 innings. They allowed 6 hits from the bullpen in total. And again, no earned runs, right? They were absolutely nailed. The offense was able to give you that lead, but the bullpen was able to shut the Braves down and secure these wins. So honestly, like I said, I think the bullpen's one of the more underrated and honestly one of the better parts of these last 2 games. In terms of the series as a whole, I absolutely loved it, right? I mean, honestly, who's not going to love that, right? There were some concerns in this series. Obviously, I think there were some defensive miscues throughout, especially with Rafael Devers. He had a lot of miscues. Most of them somehow never end up being errors, but we're going to call them miscues then. He had a lot of times where he probably should have made a play and didn't, so there's something to keep an eye on there. Base running continues to be a bit of an issue. That triple play that the Braves turned in this series should have never happened, right? So there were some definite miscues in this series, but again, despite those, you were still able to shut an offense down like the Atlanta Braves and score some runs on a team like the Atlanta Braves. So is it really the end of the world of these defensive miscues and these base running blunders? No, but at the same time too, it's not always going to be that this team is firing on all cylinders, so you're going to have to figure out how to get better at both of those, which have been the Red Sox problem the entire year, to keep this team sort of doing what they've been doing lately. But again, either way, you end up with 2 wins, so you can't really complain all that much at the end of the day. But either way, the best part about this series, in my opinion, is the fact that you were getting contributions from all over the field, right? It wasn't just, oh, the Red Sox offense overpowering the Atlanta Braves, or Red Sox pitching shutting down the Atlanta Braves. It was both. It was a combination of both, and what you saw in this series was contributions from everyone on the offensive side and everyone from the pitching side of things, right? Obviously, defense, not really a ton. I mean, there were positive contributions defensively, Connor Wong, Alex Verdugo, but there were also a lot of people who did not contribute defensively. But either way, right, you were getting contributions from both sides of the ball, and what we saw in this series was a statement. It was a statement that, hey, we can compete against the best teams in Major League Baseball because we've been doing it all year. We've been successful against the Rangers. We've been successful against the Braves, right? You've been successful against above 500 teams all season. It's been the below 500 teams that you've struggled with this year. So to see this, to see them make that statement and go toe-to-toe with one of the better teams, if not the best team in baseball right now, and win every single matchup has been absolutely incredible to watch. Now, what this means in the grand scheme of the season, I think it just pushes the Red Sox closer to being buyers at the MLB deadline. Now, we've talked about it a ton. We're talking about the trade deadline almost every single day right now. What I mean by buyers is not they're going to go all in and they're going to get a ace caliber pitcher, right? But I think this pushes the Red Sox more towards, hey, we should bolster this pitching staff. We should bolster this bullpen. Maybe we should bolster this defense a little bit, right? So beating the Braves is going to have a bit of a bigger impact on the 2023 season than the last couple of series we've seen, because not only does it put you one game closer to being in a wild card spot, but it also proves that, hey, if we do get a wild card spot, we can compete once we get there, and we're just getting healthier and we're getting stronger and we're getting better, right? So overall, like I said, I think this was one of the best series we've had this season, and it was just an absolute blast to watch what this Red Sox team has been doing, not only the last couple of days, but the last couple of weeks as well. But that's just my opinion, so let me know in the comment section down below, what did you think of this latest series? What did you think of its effects on the 2023 season? What did you think of the offense, defense, pitching? Let me know all your thoughts on the latest Red Sox series in the comment section down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the red seats.